Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Dan Tony Sports. My name is Dan Snyder, joined tonight by Tony Casper and Dan Beebe. Dan O'Shea will be joining us by phone momentarily. We got a big show tonight. Going to talk NBA draft. We're going to talk NBA honors, the awards ceremony. We're going to talk Sun Belt Conference because it's that time of the year, football season. Only 9 more weeks until football.
Oh yeah.
Time to start preparing for it now. But we're going to start tonight the same way we start every night, and that is with our pigskin poetry. Last year was the season of the backup QB. So many starters went down with an injury. Tannehill had fallen, and then Cutler came in. Bradford went down, and Keenum started to win. Bridgewater came back slow with very good reason. And Andrew Luck missed an entire season. Watson was the backup, but week 2 he got the start. But too bad his ACL isn't as strong as his heart. I'm so sick of hearing "Fly, Eagles, fly." But give Philly credit, Wentz is the guy. Carr is just a train wreck, and I'm worried about his health. One thing he doesn't worry about, though, is his money and wealth. But all these guys are set, and they should be ready to go. Now you just gotta hope that they don't come back and blow. So many big names went down with injury last season, especially at the quarterback position. As I had named, you had Deshaun Watson, you had Carson Wentz, you had Ryan Tannehill. So many injuries that it really really helped out the backup quarterbacks because you saw Nick Foles win a Super Bowl. You saw Case Keenum come close to getting to the Super Bowl. You saw Jay Cutler not leave with some made-up injury.
Which is surprising. Usually his pinky goes out halfway through the year.
If he even lasts half the season.
I was being generous, but... like I said before in this podcast, in all fairness, he tried to retire.
He did try to retire. Oh, man. Yeah, it's a great point. So Ryan Tannehill going to be back for the Dolphins. Deshaun Watson going to be back for the Texans. Teddy Bridgewater is now a Jet. Sam Bradford's out in Arizona. Who else did I have on there? Carson Wentz. He's the guy in Philly. So, backup quarterbacks really, like I said, were helped out a lot this season. But anyways, we're not going to talk about the NFL yet. We're going to save that for a few weeks. What we are going to talk about, though, is the NBA honors. Those of you who don't know, last night is when the NBA MVP, which wasn't Lon's Goat Ball, whatever, and Coach of the Year and all of those different awards were given out. And let's just say quite a few people, myself included, were extremely surprised with a lot of the results. Don't understand what happened. I do know, however, that the best moment in sports for the entire year happened last night when Charles Barkley was up on stage talking like his usual drunkard, awful self, and he caught the attention of Bill Russell. And Tony, what did Bill Russell do?
Flipped him off.
Gave him
right on the top, right in front of the camera.
Gave him the finger. And Dan Beebe, was this visible on TV?
It was.
It was. Oh, yes.
Mm-hmm.
It was visible on TV.
Yep, right in front of the camera. It was like the camera panned to him right at the right moment.
It did. It's awesome. I have so much more respect for Bill Russell now.
Bill Russell's response was, "It's just my natural reaction when I see Charles Barkley to flip him off."
That should be everyone's natural reaction to seeing Charles Barkley.
It would be my reaction if I saw him in front of me on a golf course, because I know this is going to take all day.
No, natural reaction would be like, "Yo, I got $5,000 because you can't hit a hole-in-one." He'll take that bet.
Yeah, probably, but it's the best bet in the world.
He'll take that bet. The best thing is you won't have to pay because he'll accidentally get a piece of the ball and it's going to go 12 feet.
Yeah, that's fair. I'd ask him. I'd be like, "Yeah, I'll give you $10,000. You get a hole in one in this hole. It's a par 5. Oh, what are you, bitch?"
I'm sure he would take that bet.
Yeah, that's, again, I just have to coax him into it. Yeah, I knew you were a sissy. I could tell from watching you on TV play basketball.
Yeah, you can say a lot of things about Charles Barkley, but calling him a sissy while he played is just factually incorrect.
You're absolutely right, but the fact of the matter is I need to win this bet, and I need him to commit to it. I need a firm handshake here.
That's a good point.
Or just a verbal, "you got it." That'll do.
Speaking of things that are factually incorrect, do you know who won MVP last night?
Somebody who didn't deserve it.
Somebody who didn't deserve it is absolutely correct. One Jimmy Harden, I guess. Can I call him Jimmy?
I don't know. I don't give a shit what you call him.
Jimmy, I'm going to go with Jimmy Harden.
I mean, I don't know. I don't think it should have gone to him. Although I do find it crazy that, like, out of the last 5 years, like, 3 of the MVPs, or maybe it's going back a little bit longer, were all on the same team at one point in OKC.
Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook, and now
James Harden.
James Harden.
And the only one still in KC is Russell Westbrook.
You have one more player that needs to win an MVP from that group.
Who?
Serge Ibaka.
That's never going to happen.
Serge Ibaka.
That's never going to happen. He could win like a Europe or like a Russian basketball league MVP.
He's not Russian.
Okay,
He's like Ugandan.
It doesn't matter. Pick another continent and have a basketball league there. He might win that MVP.
Do you think he wins the MVP of the JBL?
I don't see how you couldn't. I'm pretty sure anyone could.
All you got to do is be able to outshoot LiAngelo, Jello as we're going to call him, goes uncontested 4 for 20 from 3.
Oh, don't worry about that. We will get to that family later.
Will we now?
Oh, yes, I can assure you.
Okay.
I can assure you. Fuck them.
Tony, big fan of LiAngelo Ball.
I'm not a fan of the Ball family, period. The only one I can stand is the only one that deserves to be mentioned.
And that is?
Lonzo. He's the only one with talent enough to actually be there. And he's the only one that I mildly respect. And that's mainly because he doesn't even say anything.
Because his dad talks for him. Says too much.
Yeah, alright. So, more awards that were shocking. Because
Actually,
this league doesn't make any sense anymore to me.
Before we get to the awards that were shocking, 2 things. One, just want to give a shout out, Not a Clue. Hey guys, Not a Clue said, Reggie Ray, I smell a bet.
I smell it.
In response to our bet with Charles Barkley.
I think he should take it as a betting man.
As a betting man.
I see it paying off.
The second thing, I still think LeBron should have won MVP. But I do have, according to ESPN, their season stats. And, I mean, it's not a huge difference. So, points, James Harden has the edge, 30.4 to LeBron's 27.5. Remember, this is regular season, not including the postseason, where LeBron scored 80 like 27 times. Rebounds, big advantage to LeBron, 8.6 to 5.4. Steals, James Harden has the advantage, 1.8 to 1.4. Free throw percentage, James Harden has the advantage, 85.8% to 73.1% for LeBron. Assists goes to LeBron, 9.1 to 8.8. Blocks goes to LeBron, 0.9 per game to Harden's 0.7. Field goal percentage to LeBron, 54.2% to Harden's 44.9. And 3-point percentage, 3-point percentage, deadlocked, even, 36.7% for both.
Okay. First of all, LeBron had those average statistics over 10 more games as well.
Right.
Didn't miss a single game. And not to mention, okay, you have Kevin Love and you got Chris Paul. So those can roughly be canceled out.
Not even close.
Chris Paul's much better.
Chris Paul's higher level.
Right. So even more damaging, but for sake of argument, I'm going to have those two cancel each other out. The rest of Cleveland was a bag of dicks in comparison to a team that was actually pretty solid. They just didn't play defense.
I mean, it depends on what you're looking at, because Cleveland did have good players that step up. What's his name? George Hill. He stepped up quite a bit.
Right, but I'm saying if you're going to compare the stats in that scenario, I mean, I guess the argument is if we do break down the team, but who's more valuable to his team? James Harden in those 72 games or LeBron in the 82? Because they had to struggle to get to the playoffs.
Obviously, it's LeBron. And breaking news coming out of Not a Clue podcast. Austin Rivers just traded to the Wizards for Marcin Gortat. Thank you for breaking that news on our show. Not a Clue. We gave you credit, though. All right. So the next award, Rookie of the Year. Now, this is the one that pisses me off the most. What is a rookie?
I know, but it's following MLB rules now. You have to play a certain amount of games for it to be considered your rookie season. And I mean, I still think it actually should have been Donovan Mitchell.
He's the better player.
Arguably, yes. I mean, he also decided to take Utah on his back, and now they're going to be garbage because they got Grayson Allen, and he sucks.
What are you talking about? You're tripping if you think
he's tripping.
I misspoke.
Yeah. Anyway, but I mean, Ben Simmons, he had a great season. I mean, technically you could call it his rookie season, but I still think Mitchell outperformed him in that category. I mean, at the very least, I would have allowed it to be a dual rookie of the year if you wanted to go with Simmons, because they both had pretty impressive years.
I'm calling it now. If this were the NFL, 100%. What's his name? Deshaun Watson, Rookie of the Year. Next season. That's how it should be.
It should be, but that's not how the NFL operates.
Because they actually do something that makes sense.
The NBA goes by the same rules that Major League Baseball does. If you didn't play in a certain amount of games, you're not eligible for the award. It's not considered a full season that you've played. That's how Aaron Judge was able to get it last year, even though he was brought in towards the end of the year before and didn't have enough time to win Rookie of the Year, yet he somehow won it last year.
Stupid.
I mean, that's even worse than something like Simmons, who didn't even play the year before. At all.
Yeah, well...
I mean, there's more of an argument there rather than somebody, they came in late, so they didn't really get a chance to qualify, so they could do it again next year. That was just a practice run.
I think if you are on an active roster, then you are a part of that team.
And I mean, you can make that argument, but I mean, if you're on, can be considered active if you're not active.
But the roster is.
What the does that mean? It just means that there's a piece of paper that's active that has names on it? What the are you talking about? The roster doesn't do anything.
The active roster is the team that is playing. Mm-hmm. So, for example, an inactive roster in professional baseball would be your triple, double, single A. Those are the inactive roster.
Okay.
And in NBA, G League's your inactive roster.
Okay.
The active roster means you're with the pro team.
Right.
You are on that team.
Yes, you're a member of that team.
So if he were in the G League and then came up this year and then won it while he was drafted...
He wasn't playing.
He was on the team, though.
Regardless. Right, but if you're not playing, you're not considered active. You're on a disabled list, for lack of a better term.
But you're still on the main roster.
But you can't play.
That's not the point. That's not the argument I'm making.
Yeah, I know what the argument you're making. You're just stupid argument, but I know what one you're making. Because you're saying because he's on a piece of paper, but physically can't walk on his foot, he's considered active on a team. I'm sorry, my idea of active is you actually have to actively do something.
No,
Yes.
That's a crock of shit.
What are you talking about? There's no statistics. The guy that's a backup long snapper isn't